So we will open the season with a very special concert with Also sprach Zarathustra by R.strauss in the first act of Walküre. Strauss and Wagner are very close as composers, and maybe also in spirit, because the story about Zarathustra is this guy who lives in the mountains, who decides to live up in the mountains. And it's actually a plaidoyer for a free human being, free spirit. And maybe also Wagner was dreaming of that, because he was quite a revolutionary mind. And the first act of Walküre actually, the climax of this piece is the love between brother and sister, Siegmund and Sieglinde, who are supposed to, or in fact, out of their love comes Siegfried, the free, independent spirit, who is able to bring the ring back to Wotan. That's the story. So they both were dreaming kind of a free human being spirit, and dedicated at this time of their life, at least their music to this theme. Of course, also Also sprach Zarathustra has this beautiful opening section, which everybody knows, like when the sun is coming up. So we thought it would be nice to start the season with the sun coming up so impressively. And as for Walküre, I have to say that it's maybe the most beautiful music Wagner ever wrote in all his life, this first act, because he believed, for a reason we don't really know, that love between brother and sister is the most pure love you can have on earth, and as such is also the music, very tender, very beautiful. And of course it has this famous song by Siegmund about the Winterstürme wichen dem Wonnemond. This beautiful language Wagner invented himself, and with it's composed on his own poetry, one should never forget. So I think it will be a very impressive program and a very beautiful one. You should not miss. And the second program, just a week after, we change a little bit the countries. We go to Russia. So we have, I think, three of the most important composers combined in one concert, which is Modest Mussorgsky. His music I always loved, his Boris Godunov, his songs, and of course also his second biggest opera, Kovanshina. So we will play the prelude of Kovanshina, which is also the sun coming up over the Moscow River, but it sounds quite different to the sun coming up for Zarathustra. This I can promise you, and then it will be interesting to compare the two suns coming up, the one in the mountains, let's say, and the one in Moscow. And after we play a very famous piece by Alexander Scriabin, who I think is a very important composer between the tradition and the modern part of Russian music. He had his very own way and his own visions, or to compose pieces with light effects, and dreamt of a whole new concept of music being integrated in a kind of more visual show. And his piece, Poème de l'Extase, of course, has become very famous because it actually describes the ecstatic love between two people. So the Poème de l'Extase also links to the first act of Walküre of the other week, which is a kind of hymn on love and the best moments we can have in love. And after the break we play a classic symphony by Tchaikovsky, number 5, which also deals in a way with the, how shall I say, with the relation a human being has to God, or let's say to to a power above him, because we all, I think about that and have our inner monologues, our dialogues about this theme. How free are we? How independent are we from a power which influenced us from another point? Let's call God, or let it call a different thing. I think every human being has to deal with that in his life. So Tchaikovsky, in this symphony, that what we know, what he said, kind of works on this theme, which brings that back also to Wagner and Strauss, because they also dealt with the issue of how free, independent should a human mind be. So these two programs are beautifully linked, I think. So I hope you will attend our opening weeks next season.